well with you all. Definitely excited about where we are, not only as a program, but last night's events. It's a national holiday, so to speak, for all basketball enthusiasts, but also these young people who put their dreams and aspirations in our hands as head coaches, institutions, and also communities. So we're excited about Kobe Brown. We're excited about Demoy Hodge, but we're also excited about the possibilities of Dre Golston and Trey Gomillion potentially joining G League team. So we're excited about all our guys, and it was exciting to see last night Ben Sternberg show up to Kobe's home. And that was exciting to be FaceTiming with Demoy Hodge. His entire family actually attended the draft from the Virgin Islands in hopes that his name got called. Coach Sharbaugh was in attendance there. Coach Young was in attendance in Huntsville with myself. And it's just an exciting time. And I said all along, we've had pros, we've developed young people, and I'm excited to share in that journey. And in addition to the future pros that we have in our program currently, and those that we'll continue to recruit.
Dennis, you had told us a couple of months ago that you felt in your heart that Kobe was a first round talent and should go in the first round. And ultimately, what do you think the Clippers saw that made them think the same thing and use that pick in the first round on him?
Not only the Clippers, and I thank their organization for believing in the young man and his development over the years. His best basketball is still ahead of him. I truly believe that, but it just takes the development part. I knew predisposed potential of Kobe Brown as others, but more importantly, with him, there was no one in this draft class that I thought was more powerful, skilled, and versatile. He has a unique skill set, one that is, on the cusp of being his own right of being called a unicorn, because no one possesses that quality, but also those additional things. You look at his improvement over a year, his adaptation into a new system over a span of just 3 months, from the spring of us being hired to the entire summer. And then you look at what you had to put on the court in production, and it started from the first game. And I truly believe it took a community. My hats off to Conzo Martin and his staff for evaluating such a talent, because sometimes everyone doesn't come gift wrapped as a potential number one, number two pick in a draft. And young people have to know that there are signs of development, signs of getting better. And sometimes you have to go through a storm to get to the sunshine. And last night it was a sunny day in Huntsville.
Dennis, that had to be pretty awesome to see, Kobe down there in Huntsville like you were, Tell me, was that an emotional moment, when you heard his name called on TV, you see Kobe get emotional, you see all his family around him?
Well, I knew all along his capabilities. So what I did and what I get a joy out of is sitting back and watching everyone else's reaction. I thought, I just took about 5 to 10 steps backwards just to absorb the environment. And I wanted to see his dad's reaction. I wanted to see his mom's reaction. I wanted to see his reaction. I wanted to see his entire village reaction, because it doesn't just take one person. But also I wanted to see, the special moment being shared, because it is nerve-wracking going through a draft process. There's a lot of unknowns, but I thought Kobe did enough consistently over the last 4 years of his basketball career to show how important he could be to a franchise. And, they're getting a great player. They're getting someone who is a winner, someone who is definitely focused, but someone who has dreams and aspirations to become more.
Dennis, most college coaches will say that nothing can do more for your program and your ability to recruit than consistently putting kids in the pros. Do you have an idea of, how big it is for Missouri's program that Kobe went where he did, and especially based on when you guys started to do that at Florida State, what changed?
Yeah, I would challenge each of us all to just, and I'm going to do it myself, to just listen back to the press conference when I was hired. And I said that it's important that we not only raise banners, cut down nets, and hold up trophies, but also sit on draft day with families and see dreams come true, because that is a part of the connectivity with grassroots kids, recruiting, a fan base. Those things give you sort of a collective lens on the entire process, from recruiting or a transition, me being hired, me sitting down in that first conversation with Kobe. It took one conversation with Kobe Brown to say, you know what, I have a great feeling about you, Coach Gates. It took one sit down for that to take place. And I appreciate that, because what it says is it doesn't matter how many times you call a recruit, how many times you show up to a game, but if there's the synergy and the trust there with their career into my hands and vice versa, my career into theirs, something special can really happen. So yes, it is great. D'Moy Hodge was very close to getting his name called last night by about 2 or 3 franchises. I think his journey is also something that can reflect and draw attention to those that may not have been ever given a chance to be in the NBA. This young man, although he didn't get his name called, he is on a 2-way contract with not only a great organization, but hands down, probably one of the better players to ever play the game. Now, I'm still a Michael Jordan fan. There's no doubt about it. But LeBron James can go down as one of the best basketball players in the history of the game, and D'Moy Hodge gets to have a front row seat into that and into a storied program. What's unique and ironic, they're in the same city, right? That's the same building, right there around the corner. So it'll be interesting to see the dynamics, but I'm thankful what it does to our program, but also what it does for us all.
Dennis, those two guys averaged more than like 31 points a game for you last year. Just what little you have seen from your new team, where does that scoring come from? Who do you think can step up and kind of fill some of that scoring void?
This time last year, I don't think I've answered that question. And I appreciate it. I appreciate that question. It says that, that these two young men are talented, but I don't think anyone on their screen thought that those two would be getting NBA contracts neither. I thought that they had a chance. I knew it. But sometimes you got to step out on faith and trust. I knew it. I was doing more convincing to the outsiders. And I'm not calling you guys outsiders. I was doing more convincing to you that this is what we have. I'm excited about our team. There's no doubt about it. But I'm more excited about the development. Was D'Moy Hodge a pro on this time last year? Yes, but I did not know to what extent it would develop into that. Did I know Kobe Brown was an NBA player? Absolutely. I thought he got underestimated even on draft night. I thought he was a top 15 pick, but I'm not the decision maker. And I look at it from this standpoint. We have a good group of guys coming in. I'm excited about them. I'm excited about our returners. I'm excited about Sean East, Nick Honor, Noah Carter, Mabor Majak, right? Those guys are our captains. I'm excited about our freshman captain, Anthony Robinson. I'm excited about our freshman class. Add, Jordan Butler, you add Trent Pierce. I'm excited about the guys that are signed from the transfer portal. Tamar Bates, Caleb Grill. Those are good players. Connor Vanover. Those are good players. Those guys have an opportunity to do a lot of things. I'm excited about Kurt Lewis. I'm excited beyond measure about John Tonje. I'm excited about our entire group, no different than I've been excited last season during this time. So I invite you guys to come watch practice. Let me know what you think, because I do think you guys are basketball enthusiasts. You guys love the game. You will be following their pro careers. But give me your opinion. I'm curious about what you think. Give me your opinion. You guys have seen a lot of basketball. You guys write a lot of great articles. So I'm curious off what articles are coming down the pipe based off of what you see when you walk into the gym comparing it to last year's team, but also I encourage you guys to get to know these guys no different than you got to know this last season's team. It may have taken a lot of time, but I think it's important that you guys get in this gym even during the summer months and really see it develop. No different than you were curious last year. You're on mute, Drew. Or your volume isn't working. You can type your question. Type your question, Drew. While Drew types his question, what's the next question?
Dennis, I'm going to ask you to summarize the last 3 months in a couple minutes here. Can you tell us kind of what your plan was going into the portal, and how that evolved, and how you feel like you guys did kind of reshaping this roster?
Well, the first and foremost thing, my three absolutes will never change. I want to be the #1 3-point shooting team in the country. I want to have a positive assist to turnover ratio. And we want to play and have at least one guy on the all defensive team. I thought Hodge should have earned some accolades, but he didn't. But he was our defensive player of the year. That's all that matters. I think if you look across the globe and see the records that he broke, it was important for him to really push forward defensively, and I thought he helped us along with other guys. So for us, I think when you look at the other parts of it, improvement, I think everyone talks about rim protection. Everyone talks about the category. I think you all talk about the category of rebounding for some reason, right? But we talk about all those things. So I think by committee, these stats analytically have to be looked at beyond a black and white stat sheet and looked at as player efficiency ratings, rebounding margin, turnover margin, different ways you can have or get the ball back in your possession, shooting percentages and different things like that. I want to lead the country in free throw shooting. I thought we were below that number last year. I think we have to get in the 80s. In averaging in free throw percentage. Drew, I see your question now. I remember you saying one of your first coaching opportunities was with the Clippers. Do you remember about your time with them, and what do you think Kobe and Demoy will enjoy about LA? I think with that, Drew, it's important that I look at the big picture. A couple years ago, we had 2 players drafted with the LA Clippers. That was Fiondu Kabengele, who was sort of almost the last pick of the first round, right? And then Terrence Mann, who was a second round draft pick. I think there's a great relationship with that organization. Kyle Smith-Peters had a kid drafted by, I believe, the LA Clippers as well, coming from Logan Community College. So there's I think a type of style that they look for. I can't speak for that. But ultimately, what it says to me is it was important for, and I made sure Coach Young did it last night, was get Terrence Mann and Kobe Brown on the phone. I thought it was important for me to make sure Demoy Hodge, Drew Joyce III was our assistant coach at Cleveland State, to make sure the connection of LeBron James and Demoy Hodge was existing, just in case, because that you have to have some type of synergy. I remember in Cleveland, Demoy Hodge, Trey Gomillion, Ben Sternberg, all our guys would go up to St. Vincent, St. Mary's, where Drew Joyce II was the head coach. Drew Joyce III, our assistant, was obviously best friends and teammates. And those guys would go to the high school tournaments to see Bronny James play and even try their best to meet LeBron, right? There's an impact and a connection and synergy with both these young people in their organizations, and I'm excited with the direction of it. They both have 2 different paths that they'll have to take, but I think the overall objective is for these young men to do well enough so that they can sign and prepare to sign a second contract. not just their first. I think that's the most important part when you look at pros. I want these guys to be able to get pension, and you have to have a certain amount of years in the league to do that. I think ultimately when you look at those dynamics, those are important. They have great coaches. They are great organizations. They have all-stars and people that our young guys can learn from. I think when I prepare our team and our players, we prepare them from the standpoint of national championships, NBA championships. And those are organizations that strive for the best. None better than the players there, the all-stars there. So I'm excited for them to learn from those leaders within those organizations as well.
Dennis, when you look back on your first season and the success you had, obviously, kind of tell me what's maybe your biggest takeaway from that season, the biggest lesson maybe you learned that you want to take into year two?
That's a good question. The biggest takeaway, Natalie, I think is we fell short of some goals. And when you fall short, there's an emotional component you have to withstand. You have to try to revisit those things that allowed the shortness to take place, but see what and how you can overcome them the next season. We wanted to win a regular season championship. We wanted to win a postseason conference championship. We wanted to play on April 1st, April 3rd, and we wasn't able to do that. So right now we've circled April 6th, April 8th in Phoenix, and that's where we're going to start and trace from there. We'll work backwards to see and make sure that, we can dot I's, cross T's. I thought last season some of our depth was compromised, and we missed two guys, two key guys, Trago Million and Isaiah Mosley. It's that simple. I thought with them, we could have achieved that goal. So staying healthy is very important.
Dennis, when you look at Demoy and you mentioned, him trying to develop into an NBA player that can stay in the league, looking at his skill set coming out of college, what do you think in his game is going to benefit him and give him the best chance to not only make this Lakers team, but be a pro for a long time?
Hey, I'll say this. He better get out of LeBron's way. And when he catches the ball, he better be able to make some shots. But also on the other side, I think he's a disruptor. He's an energy giver, but he's a locker room guy. He's a great young man. I think the entire world, when you look at the business model of the NBA, they get to check off another part of the international, map, the British Virgin Islands. And Demoy Hodge could have been the first draftee from there, but that doesn't mean yesterday was a fluke or a fail. I think he has to continue to grow, be prepared for the journey, learn, listen, have his eyes wide open, and be prepared when his number called. He has to be able to treat a G League game like an NBA game, and his development will flourish. He cannot just turn a switch on when it becomes a NBA game, or be prepared for that. You don't know when your number is going to get called or when you'll get called up. So he has to treat both very, very similar, especially in this early stage of his development, and try to dominate the G League, but also in the ways that he can dominate. Don't try to be someone else. Be who he is, because that is how and why he signed a contract, because he stayed true to who he was. Although others said, oh, you need to dribble more, you need to do certain things. Well, he's a piece of a puzzle. There's no confusion of what he can do or what he can't do. He stayed away from his weaknesses, showed his strengths, and he did not blink 1 second when it came down to being open and knocking down shots at opportune time and defending.
Coach, kind of from your perspective, how have you seen Kobe and Demoy kind of grow throughout this draft process, either on the court or off of it?
I think they've based off the preparation, right? I think it's important that we examine the preparation that we do to prepare kids post college career. So there's a lot of things that we do with our schedule, with our practice schedule, with our routine, that allows them to prepare for the ups and downs, the grueling parts of NBA training, the mental, physical, and emotional toll of going from one city to the next, but also trying to just be there for them, trying to talk about it, right? I think it's important to know that our staff went to Chicago to see these guys in the process, whether it was G League Combine or NBA Combine. They need to continue to see familiar faces. So we're not going to cut the umbilical cord from Como to LA. We're going to obviously be out there at some point in time. We recruit nationally, internationally, and I'm going to demand that our assistants, no matter what city these guys are in, to be there for them, whether it's a breakfast, a lunch, a dinner. I think those things help in transitions. Last but not least, we'll be in Las Vegas. I'll be in Las Vegas, and I'm going to have a Mizzou dinner. And I'll invite all our Mizzou players like I did last year. Last season I did it. Jeremiah Tillman and Jonte Porter were the only two that showed up, and I appreciate it. Nor am I examining because other guys have other things to do. I just want to be there for them in a great way, because it's lonely in the pro world. You have a lot of hours in your day, and it's important that they stay in the routine, but also surround themselves with the people, their family, friends, and loved ones throughout the journey. And just wellness checks are very important. So those are the plans that we'll take, and we'll continue that throughout their careers.
Time for one last question. I believe Dave had one.
Dennis, I'm not sure.
Let's go 2 questions. Chris got one too. Jason. All right.
Dennis, I'm not sure Connor Vanover's with you yet for workouts, but just how does he fit into what you want to do, and what's just early impressions of him and what he can add?
I think you guys are upset because you can't write about us not having height now.
You got a lot with him.
Well, I'll say this. What it does is it allows you to see the scope. You have to have the right players. You have to have the correct to not compromise the system, right? We have a system in place that I think allows us to compete at this level. We're not compromising that with a 7'5" kid. We're adding to it, because that same kid has shot over 30% from 3. That same kid is 99 percentile in 2-point field goal percentage. He averaged more blocks by himself than we did as a team. He does some things from a alteration standpoint, but we have to continue to develop and see how we can best utilize, but also not compromise what we do. And I'm excited not only with him as a basketball player, but the overall support in him being a Mizzou Tiger. It was in his heart. What I do want help with, and I think you guys can all help me with this, I've coached several 7-footers in my career. We've had 7'4", 7'3", 7'4" Jean-Marc Christ Kumaje, 7'3" Boris Bojanowski, 7'2" Michael Ojo. So we've been there. We have to humanize. We have to humanize them. Sometimes that will allow a young man to give his very best without being looked at from the microscope. Everybody knows he's 7'5". We don't need to ask him that anymore. We don't need to just take the camera out and take a picture as if, it's a circus act. I want him to be humanized. He's a person. No one in here knows those shoes that you have to feel walking around. Dave, you about what, 5'5"?
I'm like 5'7", Dennis. Come on.
Okay, I'll give you 5'7", right? That's average, right? That's average. So let's humanize them, because no one walks around asking Dave Matter how tall he is. I don't want one picture with him and Nick Honor taken. I don't want it. I don't want it. He's had all that. I think it's important that we continue to build our young people, be there for them, mentally, physically, and emotionally, so he can get toward his dreams and aspirations. I'm excited to talk to him about the time he was at Cal Berkeley, because I was a graduate of Cal Berkeley, right? I'm excited to talk to him about the different hobbies he has. I'm excited about not just him as a basketball player, but life after basketball, that transition, because one day it will come. And as long as we humanize our young people, the growth, I'm telling you, the growth will be there and the growth will happen. So I need your help, everybody on this media, to understand the importance of humanizing young people, but also protecting our own, because ultimately, you know, he is ours. He's a young man that believed in Como and believes in Mizzou, believes in us, and you guys are an extension of the coaching staff. You guys are an extension of our program. You are the organ that goes into every corner of our state, sharing the good news, the bad news, the news about what we do and how we do it. So ultimately, I appreciate what you do. I just need help in that area so we can continue to do those things. So I appreciate that. Chris, last question.
Yeah, Coach. In the same vein of growth, how important is this summer for Aiden Shaw, and what do you want to see from him growth-wise this summer?
Absolutely. The challenge is there for Aiden Shaw. By committee, we know that Kobe Brown is a first-round draft pick. We know that. But at this time last year, we didn't know Kobe Brown was a first-round draft pick. But Kobe Brown did first-round draft pick things every day, on and off the court, in the classroom, in the community. He did it every day, consistently, effortless. He was caught in his routine. What we have to now do by committee, ask Aiden Shaw to step up and do first round things every day of his career. We have to ask Noah Carter to do first round things every day of his career. And when I begin to see those things, I don't care who it is, I will start to say, this person's a pro. This person's a first round draft pick. But until then, I'm not going to say it because I don't see it. So the challenge is out. But I know these guys are inspired because they were sharpening the blade side by side with Kobe for the last 365 days. They have been by his side competing every day, and they had a front row seat to it. So I'm excited about their thirst of knowledge. I'm excited about their thirst of production, but also the inspiration that a day like Draft Day, which is a national holiday in my world, I'm excited about what it holds for our future.
All right.